Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Freight Master Resources. My name is Tim, for those of you that are new and don't know me. Um, Today, I wanted to talk about how freight brokers find shippers. Okay? Before we get started, slam that subscribe button for me, hit that little bell so that you get the notifications, okay, when we do these videos. I hope you guys are finding them useful. I try to provide as many resources and information for you guys as I possibly can. Again, I know I was out for a little while. I'm trying to get caught up with everything. So, with that being said, we will jump into it here in just a second. One more thing that I would like to mention is that if you guys don't have your download of the 121,000 and change freight shippers list right now, we do offer it through the freight broker website. And again, I'll provide leads for everybody on everything down in the description below. So don't worry about having to follow along and write all this down, because it'll all be there for you. Again, the freight shipper lead list, all the information that I have on there at the time, was accurate. There might be some of it, obviously, that's a little bit outdated, but it's $25. I've got it half off right now. And again, they're out of 121,000 and change. Obviously, there's going to be quite a few. I've had some people that have actually reached out to me after they got it. They purchased it like on a Saturday or Sunday, put it to work on Monday. Monday, they picked up 3 new customers. Okay, so again, kind of a quick way of picking up a ton of leads really fast if you guys are interested. And if you break that down, 121,000, it comes up, like I said, to pennies, or a penny I don't know. I haven't done the math. Okay, but it's really cheap, and I realize right now everybody kind of struggling. There's companies shut down, and everything, so business is closed, so prospecting right now can be a little bit difficult. So this is something good to have on hand. And along with what I'm about to discuss with you guys, to kind of help get your lead list together, and not saying that you can't prospect now. Obviously, be doing it. We all know that at some point in time, we will have customers, that'll leave us. So for whatever reason, or shut down temporarily, due to the way things are right now in the world. Yeah. I thought this would be a good time to kind of go over some of these things. Excuse me. And kind of provide you guys with some of this information so that you're either prepared when things fire back up, or give you some ideas to maybe that you haven't, come up with in the past, to generate some leads, some new customers, right now. So without any further ado, let's jump into it. All right. So again, how do freight brokers find shippers? Lead generation can be difficult and time consuming, but the success of your business hinges on identifying new prospects and attracting them to what you have to offer. Okay, so the goal for your business is to generate more leads and convert them into customers. All right, so that your business will grow. All right, that's our ultimate goal, right? And here are some suggestions that I have, to help, fill your freight sales pipeline. Obviously, the more, leads you have, the more prospects that can be converted into customers, which in turn means more money for you and your freight broker business, right? So that being said, let's get into the tips. All right. So tip number 1, I made this tip number 1 because I think it was kind of a no-brainer. Obviously, as a freight broker or a freight broker agent, one of the number 1 things that we do is sales, right? So when you're first jumping into sales, whether you're new, maybe existing, always look at your current contacts. All right, ask them where they work. Your friends, your family. A freight broker or freight broker agent's current contacts can be a great source for leads. All right, kind of a no-brainer, but there it is. All right, so moving on. Tip number 2, keep a notepad handy. Obviously, some of us are like on shutdown right now, certain states, more and more, kind of coming along. But if you're out and about, keep that notepad handy with you. Even if you're out, going for a walk or, taking your dog for a walk or anything like that, keep it in your back pocket, just a little notepad or something, to write down, companies that you come across. Write down any, the address or any landmark information, that you can use, to kind of establish a rapport, during your conversation with them. All right. So tip number 3, referrals. That was kind of retarded. I just did that. I can't believe I did that. Anyway, moving on. Tip number 3. Okay. As you build your book of business and have established, a good reputation with your, current customers, start asking them for referrals. They know a lot of other transportation managers. They have their own network, their own list of contacts, and they might say, hey, you might be a great fit. I know someone who's looking, for some freight services, new freight broker or something. Maybe the freight broker that they have just kind of slacking and not really, following through, maybe not paying attention to details, making sure notes are on rate confirmations for the carrier, things are getting screwed up, whatever the case may be. A lot of times they will have, referrals for you, and it's also worth mentioning or noting that consignees, right, are also a great prospect because you're sending trucks to them, and it can be vice versa. If if your current customer is the consignee, that shipper, can be a great resource. So consignee, consignor, either one, can be a great resource. You've got their contact information, right? Because your customer sent you over the load tender with their information. So, why not use that? Okay. Tip number 4. Look to companies, within the same industry, that you're currently working with. Obviously, let's kind of assume that you've established a niche at this point, whatever it may be, steel or something. I'm just kind of coming up with a commodity off the top of my head. As a broker or a broker agent, that specializes in a certain niche, establishes an expertise in your prospect's eyes, right? So, if you're maybe doing produce and you go to do steel, but you don't know about steel, you don't know about coil racks or, whether the coils are loaded, out of the sky, if they're palletized or, do they require tarp, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you don't know those things. That's going to come across in your conversation, right? So obviously education is key. So moving on, tip number 5. I'm going to run out of one-hand fingers here by the time I get to 6. So I guess I'll have to stop after this one. All right. So tip number 5, look at your customer's credit reference sheet, for leads. A lot of times, they're on their reference sheet, they've got a list of like referrals and things like that on there. Sometimes it might be, 3, I've seen as many as like a dozen, and some of them might be carrier references. They might be, other companies that they work with, right? Maybe they're shipping a raw product to, a different company that, turns that into whatever, widgets or whatever, So yeah, check out your customer's credit reference sheet. You can always pick up a few leads there usually. All right. Tip number 6. I said I was going to run out of fingers, didn't I? But I didn't. Use directories like ThomasNet. You'll find quite a few prospects, and a directory of your niche. And we're going to get into some more of those, here in a minute. But, ThomasNet's a very popular one. I know a lot of brokers and agents use ThomasNet, and I'm going to mention some other ones here that maybe aren't quite as popular, but still offer quite a few. Maybe they are as popular, but I'm going to mention them here shortly. So, tip number 7: be persistent. Okay. When you get out of bed in the morning and you get to your computer, if you're working from home, be ready for your day and have your lead list ready. All right, before you start, because if you're putting together leads on the fly, you're not going to make nearly as many phone calls and ultimately that's going to hold you back, because the more contact that we make throughout the day, the better our chances of getting a yes, and doing those follow-up calls. All right, and this is where I talk about being persistent. Even if a prospect says no, follow up with them every so often. I suggest about every 3 or like 2 weeks on average. Follow up with them, even if they say yeah, we're not real busy right now, we're not doing a whole lot. Okay, reach out to them again in about 2 weeks. Their needs may have changed within that 2 weeks, and they might say, you know what, hey, I do have a load that I need some help on. And it might just be one load, but it might be that one load that gets your foot in the door. You know what I mean? You get that covered for them, and things and more to follow, right? So be persistent. Bear with me 1 second. Let me grab a sip of coffee. Okay. Tip number 8. The USDA provides a valuable resource at marketnews.usda.gov with prices and freight information that's updated every Wednesday. So if you're into produce and that kind of thing, that can be a really great resource. And again, guys, don't worry about writing these down as I'm talking about them, and having to hit back the video up or anything. I'm gonna drop all these down in the description for you. Okay. So you guys will have them handy. So let's see here. Tip number 9. Some of the other great resources for you are producemarketguide.com, careersinfood.com, manta.com, buzzfile.com, and don't forget about LinkedIn. All right, LinkedIn is a great networking resource. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, I would suggest getting that together and getting it, put your profile together as complete as possible. I've talked about LinkedIn in the past, whether it was on on the channel here or in some of my other sales groups that I do. Yeah, and if you're if you have an agency or your own brokerage, make sure you have a business profile, okay, or some sort of a page on Facebook, LinkedIn, maybe Twitter, but I would definitely suggest LinkedIn and Facebook. All right. Tip number 10, look at items around your own home, your pantry, your garage, etc. Maybe you have a hobby or something. You can usually find a shipper's information on the label, so kind of a no-brainer there. It's immediate. All you gotta do is just wander around your house, right? Some of our favorite products, are obviously probably other people's favorite products, so get that information, reach out to them. So with that being said, guys, I hope you found this valuable with those 10 tips. If you have any questions, drop the comments down below. I do answer as quickly as I can. Sometimes for whatever reason, I don't always get like notification that there's a comment, so I really kind of have to go through and double check to make sure of everything. And if you guys like this video, again, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, give it a thumbs up, I hope you guys are doing well out there. I hope everybody's, surviving. I wish you guys a great week. Get out there, get them. And as always, be kind to one another. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.